everyone, I'm Claire, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I put together a witchy capsule wardrobe from clothes I already owned. I'm using the term capsule wardrobe pretty loosely, but it should still be a good time. Also, it's kind of windy and rainy outside right now, so you might hear a little bit of that, but hopefully it just adds to the ambiance. So basically, my understanding is that a capsule wardrobe is a collection of clothing items that all go together, meaning you can create a lot of different outfit combinations from a small number of pieces. But what I did is more separate out the items in my closet that I think fit a certain vibe, in this case witchy, autumnal, earthy, whimsical, so that when I'm getting dressed, it's easier to find those items and create outfits in that style. Of course, you could do this with any style or any aesthetic, but this is just the direction that I decided to go. They won't necessarily all go together, but I'm hoping that any combination of these items will feel a little extra magical, though not to the extent that it feels like I'm wearing a costume. Because a couple years ago, when I was still in grad school, I had an evening poetry workshop on Halloween, and I decided to wear an outfit that was basically my regular style, but a more witchy version. I wore a black skirt and a black mesh tank top and an olive green cardigan, and I just had so much fun and felt so good in it. And I want to bring more of that energy to my everyday life. Like, not just for spooky season, but continuing through the fall and winter. Especially because it's just now getting to the point in Kansas City where the weather is cool enough that I can wear some of these outfits. So I'm going to show you a little of my process of reorganizing my clothes and show you the items that made the cut for the capsule. But mostly I just want to play dress up with my clothes and show you the outfits I put together, so let's get into it. I want to start by showing you the before of my closet. There are three main areas in my room where I keep my clothes. There's my dresser, which is mostly socks and underwear and pajamas, so not stuff that we're really going to be dealing with in this video, though you can see my mending pile next to it, and I do have the box with all my rings on top. Then I have my actual closet, which in the middle has this hanging storage with bras and tank tops and leggings. To the right of that are some pants, and to the left are some of my partner's clothes, some shirts, some things I don't wear very much and should probably just get rid of at this point. And up on the shelf are sweatshirts and shorts and that kind of thing. Then in another part of the room is this hanging rack that I sometimes film in front of. I'm just not filming there today because I don't want to spoil what it looks like now. We've got a few tops, a couple pairs of pants, all my skirts, some dresses, and then some outer layers like button-up shirts and blazers. And folded sweaters and that kind of thing are on the bottom. I feel like I used to have more of a reason behind what was on this rack and what was in my closet. Like when I was still in grad school and I was teaching, I had more of what I would wear to teach on the rack and more casual stuff in the closet, but since then I haven't really reorganized and things have kind of merged. So my plan for the capsule wardrobe was to dedicate the rack to the witchy stuff. All of my hanging clothes that fit that vibe went on the rack, and the ones that didn't went in the closet. And for the various folded things, I just kind of separated them into piles, like the witchy sweaters in one pile and the other ones in another. And to get more into how I made decisions, how I determined what counted as witchy, the main thing that I focused on was color. For me, when I think about witchy or Halloween-y colors, the first ones that come to mind are black, purple, green, and orange. As you'll see, I have a decent amount of black and green, but not much purple or orange. And then I also wanted to include brown because I've been really into wearing brown lately, and I feel like it's a great fall color, very earthy. And I also included navy blue just because I have a lot of it, and I feel like it fits the vibe since it's a dark color. And I also ended up with some other blue and some yellow items that just felt like they fit. And by the way, I haven't really mentioned it in this video, but the majority of my clothes are thrifted or otherwise secondhand, or I've had them for a while. There are a few reasons why I prefer thrifting, from environmental factors to my budget, but I also feel like it's a good way to find interesting pieces. Just wanted to mention that in case you see anything you think is cool and want to know where I got it. The answer is probably thrifting. But yeah, I didn't film my actual process of reorganizing and moving stuff around because I felt like that would take too long and I wouldn't have known where to put the camera, but I did film the aftermath. So Claire from the past is gonna go through everything and show you all the pieces that are part of my capsule wardrobe. Alright, so I just want to go through and show you how I organized my clothes, how I separated out the things that made the cut for the witchy capsule wardrobe. So we're going to start with the closet because nothing really changed in the dresser. So kind of getting into the details here. Over on the side, I have the stuff that I took off of my clothing rack that didn't make the cut. So it's over in this area. Plus a couple of things that are like kind of what I wear on days that I'm not going anywhere, but I don't just want to stay in pajamas, but I still want to feel like I'm wearing pajamas. And then in the center here, the main area that changed is the tank tops. So that top section is the ones that I will be reaching for, that I do feel like the colors work for what I'm going for. And the bottom is things that I won't be reaching for as much. And then up top, we have sweatshirts. So the pile on the right is the ones that didn't make the cut, and then that center section is the ones that I do think work for my capsule wardrobe. And then over on the side is just like shorts and things that I'm probably going to get rid of, so they're just sort of off to the side. I'll deal with them eventually. So I'm going to grab the pile of sweatshirts and the pile of tank tops and just sort of go through those for you, so you can see them in a little bit more detail. Okay, so getting into the sweatshirts, first is this bright sunflower yellow cropped hoodie. I feel like yellow is sort of a Halloween adjacent color. You know, it's not that like true pumpkin orange, but this could definitely be a gourd color. So I feel like it works definitely for the season and also somewhat for the witchy vibes. Next, we've got this dark green one that's more of an oversized fit, and green is definitely one of the colors I was wanting to focus on for this capsule wardrobe, so I feel like definitely works for that. And then last up is this sort of tan colored one, and then it also has an embroidery detail on one side. I got this one when I was in Chicago for a conference from a local business that does embroidery. They're called Chicago for Keeps, and so I feel like, you know, the color of this is kind of that tan color that works for the season, and then the embroidery kind of brings in more of that whimsical, witchy kind of vibe. You know, sweatshirts aren't really something that I think of as being like magical, whimsical, witchy, but sometimes you've just got to go for the coziness, even if it's not the optimal aesthetic. And then we've got tank tops. Tank tops are my preferred base layer, even in the fall, because sometimes I still get overheated. So when I was going through my tank tops, I mostly just focused on the color. So we've got this black mesh one, a black ribbed one that I kind of forgot that I had because it was like pushed to the back there. That's why it's so wrinkly. Then we've got a green one, a light purple one, this one that's more of a like sort of thick sweater material and kind of this tan color, a brown one, another black one, another tan one, and a lighter brown one. They are all different though. All right, and then we've got probably the biggest area, which is my clothing rack. It's got a lot of different things on it. You can see on the end is the shawl, but then it's shirts and other tops, pants, skirts, and then it gets into dresses and outer layers. And then on the bottom are my sweaters. I'm just going to go through and show you all the pieces here. Again, first up is this shawl. I feel like this is going to be really good for adding some whimsy to outfits. I think that is just sort of a more dramatic silhouette than something like a cardigan, so I'm really excited to play with that. Have a couple of patterned sleeveless shirts, so this kind of charcoal gray one with a floral pattern, this navy blue one, then I've got this kind of puffy sleeve cropped shirt. I really like this shirt, and I want to find more things like it because it's like a fun shape and it has a pattern, but it also really just goes with a lot of things because the pattern is subtle enough. And a lot of my bottoms, like skirts and stuff, are patterned, so when I want interesting tops, they still can't be like too interesting, because if they have too much going on, then they're going to end up like not going with that many of my bottoms. So I really am hoping to find more things like this so that I can have a little bit more versatility with my tops and not just wear tank tops all the time. Then there's just this charcoal crop top, my bee shirt. I feel like, you know, witches probably get along well with bees. This t-shirt that's, you know, a similar pattern to this one over here, but it's more of just your basic boxy t-shirt shape. Have this blue ribbed shirt. Then we have this 3/4 sleeve shirt. You'll notice in a bit that I have a skirt that matches it. It's this kind of just stretchy material, floral pattern. Then we've got some vests, the first one being this polka dot sweater vest. I feel like this is really a great Halloween top, just because of the colors of the polka dots. Then we have a second black vest. You would have seen this if you watched my recent thrift haul video. So it's sort of like a corduroy, and it buttons in the front, has this floral pattern. I really enjoy this one. I definitely want to style it in this video since I haven't had a chance to wear it too much yet. And then there's my other vest, which is sort of like fisherman vest, but make it fashion. I don't always know what to do with this one. And then getting into pants. For me, the thing with pants is that I have a hard time finding ones that fit and are comfortable. So a lot of these I'm probably not actually going to wear that much, even if I do style them in this video. Honestly, I should just get rid of them, but then I'm like, but then I'll hardly have any pants. But it's like, does it really count as having pants if I won't wear them anyway? Either way, we've got these kind of dark brown cargo pants that I got recently that are not the most comfortable. We have one of my most comfortable pairs of pants, these brown ones. Got these green ones that are also pretty comfortable, so I definitely want to style these some. And then jeans, these green pants that are a little bit more like office wear, but I could potentially make them work. And then last are these plaid ones. Really like the pattern on these. I feel like great fall piece, though I do wish they were just slightly more comfortable. And that brings us to skirts. I did leave most of my skirts on this rack because I feel like most of them do kind of fit the vibe well enough. I just took off the couple that were not like pencil skirts, but just a little bit more business casual. But I feel like the rest of them do have enough of a witchy vibe, and just the long skirt in general is one of the first things I think of when I think about more witchy style. So I've got most of them still here, but I did reorder them just to put sort of the ones that I'm most excited about in the front. So first up is this patterned skirt that I got over the summer. I feel like the colors and how dark it is really work for the vibe that I'm going for, so I'm excited to style this. We've got this purple skirt, so of course this is going to be a staple for witchy outfits. I've had this for a bit longer, so I have styled it a few times already, but I definitely want to bring it out some more for this season. And then there's a couple black skirts. This one is kind of like a tone-on-tone floral pattern where the flowers have a different sheen than the rest of the skirt, so they stand out more when it hits the light. So overall, definitely a strong witchy vibe from this one. And then we got this one that matches the shirt that I showed before. It's a bit of a tighter fit, more of like a bodycon silhouette, where the other ones are a bit looser. I'm not as used to styling sort of this shape of skirt, but I could potentially get some use out of it still. Then we've got a couple of brown ones. This is one of my favorite skirts for fall. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. You know, the palette is just really perfect for the season. Then I have this brown velvet skirt that I don't wear super often just because it's really warm. And this color and this texture feel like they could work really well for the witchy vibe. Next up is my only white skirt. I don't wear a lot of white or light colors, you know, it is sort of like an off-white, because I just feel like I'm gonna spill things on them. And the other thing about this skirt is that it's kind of see-through, even if I wear underwear that you wouldn't think would show through. So I sort of have to like wear a slip with it or layer it over a dress or that kind of thing. So that has just made it a little bit less convenient to style, but I do really like the pattern. I feel like it's great for fall. So I do want to try a couple more things with this one, see if I can get myself to wear it. And then we're getting into some skirts that I do still think work for the vibe I'm going for, but I'm just not as excited to style them this season. This one just because it's not as comfortable as some of my other skirts, but I do feel like the pattern on this is pretty witchy. And we've got this one, which is sort of like a blue base with some brown and brighter blue. I do really like this one, and I think it could totally work for witchy outfits, but I just wore it a lot over the summer, and so I'm kind of not as excited to wear it as I am with some of the newer ones or ones that I haven't worn as much. These next two, same deal. I just wore them a lot over the summer, so I'm not as excited for them. And then there's this tiered skirt. It's very lightweight. And then we've got this skirt, which I'm always kind of conflicted about because I can't tell if it's supposed to be animal print or not. Either this is a very abstract animal print or it's sort of irregular polka dots, and I feel like which one it is really changes how I feel about it, because I feel like this is a great fall palette. I love the brown and black combo, so I do feel like the colors really work. But to me, animal print reads more like glam than witchy. And so I'm just not sure how well the vibe works for what I'm going for if it reads as animal print. But if you think that this just looks like polka dots, then I would maybe be more inclined to use it for my witchy outfit. So let me know what you think. Is this dots or is it animal print? And then last is this one that is, definitely polka dots. And I like this skirt, but to me it just feels a little bit more like 1950s because of like the length and the pleats and all that. I feel like it definitely could work, but it's not the first thing I would think of, so that's why it's sort of in the back here. We've got dresses. First is this denim one that I'm pretty sure showed up in a couple of my videos before. I feel like the overall style of this dress and sort of like the cottagecore vibes should make it work pretty well for the vibe that I'm going for. Then I've got this dress from my recent thrift haul that is a pale yellow up top, and then it has a navy skirt. I don't think that this shade of yellow is especially witchy, but I wanted to include this just because it's a new dress. I want to wear it some more. Then we've got this navy blue floral dress, another, dark color, florals, it works. And then we've got this yellow dress. This dress does button down the front, but at this point it's a little bit small for me to wear it like that. But I feel like I can still get use out of it unbuttoned as a layering piece. Then there's a couple other dresses that I would probably also use for layering, just because they're sort of basic. And that brings us to some outer layers. I've got some cardigans here. I usually fold my cardigans, but these two are just very thin, so they tend to get kind of wrinkled when I fold them. So I hang them over the hanger like this, because if I hung them like a shirt, then they would stretch out. So this is the solution I found for that. We've got this one, which is kind of like a chartreuse color, and then this one is just kind of a tan color, but I feel like the length of it, because this is a longer one, is just a good like dramatic silhouette for witchy outfits. And then we have this long sleeve button up. This is just a good outer layer. I don't tend to wear button up shirts on their own. They're good layered over other things. This is another button up. It's very oversized and has like this subtle green plaid pattern. I wear this one a lot, and I feel like even though the vibe isn't as witchy as it could be because it's just like this big men's shirt, I feel like I can still make it work because of the color. And then last up is this blazer. This is like oversized to the point that it might just kind of look too big, so I haven't really styled it a whole lot, but I feel like I can potentially make it work with some of these outfits as an outer layer, like pretending that it's kind of like a coat. So we'll see how that goes. And then the other thing from the rack is this kind of miscellaneous pile of like sweaters and long sleeve shirts and cardigans and that kind of thing. So on top we have this kind of charcoal gray sweater. Then we've got this cardigan, one of the few times that orange makes an appearance at my closet with these flowers here, so I really like this one. Then we've got one of my closet staples, this green cardigan that I stole from my partner. Then we have this black and white cardigan. It's kind of like a half sleeve, like it comes down to the elbow. Then we have this short sleeved sweater top. I never really know what color this is, but I still feel like it fits in with the overall palette that I'm going for. Then there's this long sleeve brown mock neck shirt with floral pattern. I really love the pattern on this, and it's not my usual style like with a mock neck, but I'm excited to see if I can make it work. And then last is this brown waffle texture shirt. It's long sleeved and cropped. I like layering it with my denim dress, and it's just a good base layer. I also want to show you a couple of like jackets or coats that I think are probably going to work pretty well with some of my outfits. First is this leather jacket that I don't know if I actually like. I got it at a yard sale over the summer, so I was like, it's such a good deal for leather. It's like $15. And it fits well, so I got it. But I also didn't get a chance to look at myself in a mirror wearing it before I bought it. So I kind of feel like it's maybe not my favorite style of leather jacket. It's a little bit angular, and I think I would like something better that was a bit more of a softer shape. So I'm going to try it this season, see how I end up liking it. And if I don't end up wearing it too much, then I can always pass it on. But one that I really do like is this fabulous chartreuse wool coat. I don't think that the color is really coming across on camera. It's looking super muted, but it's a really bright, fun color in person. And I feel like this shade of green in particular is really good for the witchy vibes, and also just the overall like shape and drama of this coat I think is going to work really well. Okay, I turned the light on in my room, and it's a very warm light, so I feel like you can see the color a lot better now. It's this really bright, fun green, so definitely fits those witchy vibes. So yeah, those are all the items. It did end up being the majority of my clothes, to be fair. With certain categories like sweaters and sweatshirts, it was more of a 50-50 split with what did and didn't make the cut. But with my hanging stuff and tank tops, most of them did end up working for the witchy vibe. But I still think it was helpful to separate things out because it's helping me look at my clothes in a different way and really appreciate how so many of them fit with the way that I want to dress right now. So now that I've shown you the capsule building process, I want to show you some outfits that I put together. What I decided to do was start with one outfit, and then when I moved on to the next one, I kept one piece that I was already wearing and built the new outfit around that. And I kept going with that process, keeping one item and switching out the others, just to show how certain pieces can work in multiple outfits. Because even though this isn't a traditional capsule wardrobe where everything goes together, I still want to be able to use all the pieces in various combinations. So I did that for 10 outfits, and then I also did a couple bonus ones at the end that I hadn't been able to fit in. I decided to start with an outfit inspired by that outfit I showed before from a couple years ago. I used the same skirt and cardigan and a black tank top, but I added my black floral embroidered vest. I'm pretty happy with this outfit. I don't think that I personally feel like it's an improvement on the inspiration, but that just might be because I have more of an emotional attachment to the past outfit. I do think that the current one is objectively more interesting because of the extra layer that the vest adds, and this is a form of layering that works for me as a person who gets overheated easily. I wouldn't often want to wear a vest over something long-sleeved because then it's harder to take off the long-sleeve layer if I get too warm, but with this outfit I could take off the cardigan if I needed to, and I would still have the fun vest layer. So I think this is something that I would wear. I like the variety of subtle patterns and textures, and I think that the dark colors definitely make it feel witchy. So for the next outfit, I kept the skirt but switched out the top for my brown floral mock neck shirt, and I added a couple of accessories, a belt, and a headband. I think I like this one, but some things about it just feel a bit new to me, so it's hard to totally know how I feel. The things I like are the two floral patterned fabrics. I think the red floral on the brown shirt is the perfect fall print. I want a whole outfit in this pattern, and I think it can be tricky to combine multiple florals in one outfit, but because the skirt has that more subtle black on black pattern, it makes it easier to pair with other things. And I really enjoy the brown and black color combo, so just from a color and pattern standpoint, I think this outfit is really successful and totally the vibe that I'm going for. But I'm less sure about the overall silhouette because I'm not used to wearing a longer layer on top like this. I'll usually tuck in my base layer or wear something cropped just to have a bit more definition at the waist. So while in some ways I do like the look of the longer shirt on top, it doesn't create the type of shape and proportion that I'm most comfortable with, so it'll take some getting used to. Other than that, the only thing I would change is to use a different belt. I wanted the belt there to add a little more definition, but I only have a couple to choose from, and this one just kind of blends in with the shirt. I think a chain belt would have been fun if I had one, but I don't. Also, let me know what you think of the headband. It was just a gift with purchase thing when I ordered some skincare products, so I think it's just meant to be worn while you do skincare, but I feel like it's cute. So for the next outfit, I kept the shirt and brought in some olive green pants and my brown shawl. I think the shawl is the perfect way to increase the witchiness of an outfit. It adds coziness, it adds dramatic flair, it's a fall color, so I decided to bring it out for this outfit because I don't tend to think of pants as being as witchy and whimsical as skirts and dresses. Like if you think about how witches are often portrayed in media or the whimsical aesthetic, you don't see a lot of pants. And that's not to say that you have to wear skirts to fit the aesthetic, but I thought it would be easier to make pants work if I brought in another piece that has the flowiness and whimsy that skirts can provide. So I was happy with how this turned out. I like the color palette where it's mostly olive and brown, but with a little bit of a red accent from the shirt. So it's very earthy, very fall, and I enjoy the silhouette. I like that I'm able to have the shirt tucked in, and I think the wide leg pants and the shawl balance each other out pretty well. So there's a good chance that I'll wear this at some point. Then I kept the shawl because we've got to have another shawl outfit, and I brought in a couple of pieces that I haven't worn much before. This olive green kind of ribbed t-shirt dress and this off-white floral skirt. And this outfit ended up being a pleasant surprise. Like I mentioned before, this skirt needs something under it because it's kind of see-through, so I thought that the dress could work as a layering option, but I didn't know if it would actually be good or not. But it ended up working really well. The dress is fitted enough that it tucks in pretty neatly and the color coordinates with the skirt, so they're a good pairing. And of course the shawl is good too. Also, I like that the color palette is overall a little lighter in this outfit because I definitely defaulted to darker colors with some of the first outfits, but that's not the only option. I don't always wear a lot of white, but I think it still works for the witchy vibe, especially because it's not a stark white, and we also have the earthy colors. So this outfit is a surprise favorite, and I'm looking forward to wearing it. After that, I wanted to try another outfit with the skirt, so I brought in a brown tank top and this oversized green button-up. I feel like this outfit is nice, but I'm not as excited about it. It just feels kind of basic because this is an outfit recipe that I go to a lot. And there's nothing wrong with sticking to a formula that works, but this just wasn't my favorite version of it for some reason. I'm probably more likely to wear versions where I don't have to bother with a slip under my skirt, since that just makes it less convenient. But it was still a decent outfit, I liked the colors, and it was a good bridge to the next outfit, where I kept the green shirt and wore it with my B shirt and this dark patterned skirt from my last thrift haul video. The pattern of the skirt is very detailed and almost feels kind of ornamental to me, so I wanted to dress it down with more casual pieces just for a bit of contrast. And I really liked this combination. We've got the subtle pattern mixing, since the green shirt has a very small check pattern. There's a mix of light and dark colors, but enough of the darker ones to feel witchy. And I just enjoy the overall relaxed vibe that the layers on top give. It's super comfortable and easy to wear. I know that when I first started wearing skirts more, I had to adjust the mindset that they're more formal or dressed up than pants. I felt weird about wearing a skirt to class in college because it felt like there had to be a reason to wear a skirt. But at this point, I've gotten so used to wearing skirts that I don't think twice about it, and I wear them more than pants in just about any situation. So if that's something that you've ever thought about skirts, or just generally about changing the way that you dress, just know that once you start doing it, you will get used to it, and it'll be great. Turned on the lamp because it's getting dark in here. So for the next outfit, I kept the skirt because I wanted to wear it with the matching button-down shirt, also what I'm wearing now, and I brought in this sweater tank top thing. I think I said in my last haul video that I would probably mostly wear the pieces from this matching set separately, but I do like how they create a really cohesive outfit together. And this pattern to me feels like a really good mix of dark and whimsical, which is a good place to be for witchy outfits. I also felt like the sweater tank was a good choice because with so much of the same fabric, it was good to have a different texture. The top being shorter also shows off the little alteration that I did to the skirt, where I added the extra buttons from the shirt so that I can cinch it at the waist a little. So just a fun extra detail, and overall definitely an outfit that I'd like to wear. Then I got a little more experimental. Nothing too wild, but I used a non-typical layering piece. I kept the tank top and layered this yellow dress over that and a brown skirt. The goal here was to have kind of a sunflower-inspired color palette, since they have the yellow petals and a brown center, and I feel like dressing up as a flower is totally something that a witch would do. And I tried it a couple different ways, both with the skirt buttoned at the waist and then unbuttoned but tied at the top. I probably like it a little better the first way, but either way, I'm not totally sure how I feel about the layering. I wish that the dress and the skirt were closer to each other in length because it feels a bit off to have the dress end so much sooner than the skirt. Let me know what you think though. It could just be a case of me not being super comfortable with trying something new, and I'll like it better once I get used to it. For the next outfit, I went kind of monochrome. I kept the skirt, added a different tan tank top, and brought back the shawl. In some ways, I was just using this as a bridge to the next outfit I knew I wanted to do, but I still actually really like it. Like I said, I've been really into wearing brown lately, so it feels appropriate to go for an all brown and tan outfit, and it feels very fall. I think on the surface, an all brown outfit could sound boring, but with the print on the skirt and the subtle cable texture on the tank top and the fun silhouette of the shawl, I think it's interesting enough and a solid outfit. Oh, and I also wanted to show myself wearing a couple of the jackets from earlier, so I put on the green one over this outfit. I didn't feel like adding outerwear and shoes to every outfit because that just would have made everything take longer while I was filming and I would have gotten annoyed. But this is a really fun coat, so I wanted it to have its moment. It's big, it's dramatic, it's green. What more could you want? Okay, I will have a couple of bonus outfits after this, but this is the last one from the keeping one item and switching out the others method. I kept the tank top and then switched to my purple floral skirt and this yellow-green cardigan. Had to bring out the purple skirt since I feel like purple is one of the classic witchy colors, and unfortunately I didn't have many ways for it to be represented in these outfits. And I brought in even more color with the bright cardigan. I think it's really fun to look at this outfit compared to what I started with. That outfit was mostly black with a fairly dark green cardigan and a couple pops of color from the vest. And I went through several outfits that were also dark or included more neutrals. But this one is all lighter pieces and a lot more colorful, but still fits the inspiration. So I feel like it's a good example of the range of outfits that I can create for my capsule. I did also put on my leather jacket over this outfit. Like I mentioned before, I'm not sure how I feel about this jacket. It does fit well, but it's a very tailored shape, and I don't think that that's really my preference. But I do enjoy this outfit without the jacket. So for the bonus outfits, I just wanted to bring in some pieces that I hadn't gotten a chance to style with other outfits. For one thing, I realized that I had only used pants once, so I decided to use these brown cargo pants with my blue ribbed t-shirt and the dark patterned button-up. So this is kind of the inverse of when I made the dark patterned skirt feel more casual by adding a t-shirt and an oversized button-up. These pants are very casual, so I thought this very detailed pattern would elevate them a little bit. So I do like how all these pieces work together aesthetically. The only issue is that these pants aren't very comfortable, so I'm not that likely to actually wear this. But I think that I could swap in my black cargo pants once they're out of my mending pile, and that would be a very wearable outfit. Next, I wanted to do an outfit with this cardigan because it's one of the only pieces in my closet that includes a little orange, and I paired it with this black skirt that has a very small flower pattern. I felt like they'd be kind of fun together because they both have buttons down the front, though they aren't super visible on the skirt, and I think the patterns work together because they both include similar colors with the black and tan. My only issue with this outfit is that it feels a bit unbalanced, because the skirt is very fitted and the cardigan is a little looser, when I'm more likely to wear something fitted on top and something more loose and flowy on the bottom. But I think it's something I could get used to, or I could wear a more fitted tank top under the cardigan and wear the cardigan open, and that might feel a little more balanced. And then last, I wanted to show an outfit with my denim dress, and I layered it over this short sleeve sweater. This is a fairly basic outfit, but I just wanted to bring out the denim dress because I feel like the style of dress that's designed for layering is perfect for witchy outfits that lean a little more in a cottagecore direction. And I really want to find more dresses like this in other colors or patterns or materials because they make it really easy to create cute, whimsical, layered outfits. So hopefully I'm able to find more like this. Okay, so those are all the outfits, and now I just want to reflect a little bit on the process of creating my witchy capsule wardrobe. Overall, I'm really happy with the outcome. Like I mentioned before, the majority of my clothes did fit the earthy, autumnal, whimsical vibe that I was going for, but it was still really helpful to reorganize them, partly because it had just been a while since I had done any type of closet organization, so it was just good to go through everything, rediscover some pieces that had gotten shoved to the back and forgotten about, do a little decluttering, and kind of renew my excitement for the things in my closet. Because I think it's easy to get used to the clothes we have and get a little bored of them, when really we just need to look at them through a different lens to be like, oh yeah, I've got some cool stuff. Or maybe you'll notice some legitimate gaps in your closet, and that's also good information to have. But for me, I'm mostly pretty happy with what I've got. I just need more comfortable pants. I also really had fun putting together the outfits, and there wasn't necessarily anything groundbreaking about them. A lot of them were fairly simple, just a top, a bottom, and an outer layer, but that's the kind of outfit that works for me and that I'll actually wear. I might enjoy how a super layered, multi-dimensional outfit looks. Like that's something I enjoy seeing when I watch Kathleen Illustrated or Beep World do styling videos, but it's just not practical for me because I know that I'll get too warm or I'll get overstimulated by the way the different layers feel against each other. So it makes sense for me to go for more simple outfits when it comes to the number of pieces that are involved, but lean into things like color palette and pattern mixing and different textures and fun silhouettes to make the outfits more interesting and fit the whimsical vibe that I'm going for. And honestly, part of making outfits that fit the witchy vibe is just looking at my clothes through that lens. Some of these outfits are very close to things that I've worn before that just felt kind of basic, but now that I'm curating my closet in a certain way and cultivating a certain aesthetic, putting together outfits feels more fun and creative. Like, I'm not just putting on a skirt and a t-shirt and a button-up, I'm creating this witchy character who likes rich patterns and cozy textures, and also wants you to know that they care about these. So it's not just about the clothes themselves, but also how I approach them. Like, obviously the clothes matter too. If I only had business casual clothes, then I wouldn't suddenly be able to make witchy outfits just because I decided that's what I wanted to do, but looking at things in a different way can help. So I would totally recommend this kind of thing if you've gotten bored with how you're dressing and want to change, or you just think it would be fun. Pick an aesthetic or a vibe or a person or a character who you think of as a style inspiration, and then go through your clothes and see what you have that fits the inspiration, separate those items from the rest of your clothes, and see how you feel getting dressed from that part of your closet. I thought it was a really fun experiment, and even though I don't leave the house that often, and I'm not totally sure when I'll have the opportunity to wear some of the outfits I put together, I'm glad that I have ideas for when I do go out. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you to everyone who's watching till the end. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video and if you had a favorite from the outfits I put together. And if you were going to create a capsule wardrobe from your own closet, what would the inspiration be? If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would leave me a like or maybe even subscribe. Thank you to everyone who has already subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Bye! But please don't knock anything over. Okay.